Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Hobby Dude 007 channel. It's time to reveal our Plymouth Prowler and fill you in as to why I kept it secret until after its debut at the Atlanta show. Let's take a look. Okay guys, so we're back from the ACME Southern Nationals in Atlanta. If you've watched any of the other videos, you know that I was doing a Plymouth Prowler for the Radwood theme, but I had something I wanted to do special with it, and I had another little addition I wanted to put with it, and I want to share that with you now. I took pictures as I went along, so I'm going to jump over real quick to a slideshow and I'll narrate that for you real quick, so stick around. This is one of those projects that's unique and a bit out of my wheelhouse, but as you know, I love challenges. This is just the Revell Plymouth Prowler. It's molded in purple as you see here, and it had a few things that I wanted to change in that mine was going to be a custom. And because it was going to be a custom, as you can see here, I closed in the marker lights, the door handles, the convertible top latches, even went over and closed up the fuel filler. And I wanted it to have a really smooth, slick look. And you know, a lot of customs, they have the fuel filler hidden along with the door handles and all that stuff. So went ahead and filled those in, got everything sanded and smoothed out, and kind of roughed over the whole body for the primer. And by the way, the primer that I really like to use is the final primer is the Tamiya Fine Surface Primer. It's very smooth, and I usually water sand that right before color with 2000 grit under running water, just something really light. And again, you can see here, now you'll notice too that the mirror, the side view mirror attachment points are still there. I did go back a little bit later and fill those in. Along the back of the car, I ran into a little bit of an issue. The gravel pan along the bottom in the back didn't really line up, left a little bit of a gap, so I got a piece of evergreen rod and just kind of wrap that around, put a layer of Tamiya thin cement over it, and let that kind of just conform in there. And the other thing is, you see the holes there, which from this angle look like they're kind of small and for the exhaust. Well, they're for the exhaust, but they're also for the rear bumpers. And in that this is a custom, and we're going to be removing the bumpers from the front and the rear. Now this is another look where you can really see how big that gap is there, or how wide those holes are back there. Well, I didn't like that, so to make it more of a custom, we took some evergreen plastic, and as you can see, we got that shaped in and then puttied up. And after that, we got us, this is after a rough sand, and then I put the putty on it. And then we went back and smoothed everything out. I had a couple layers of putty I had to put on there because I kept making some adjustments to it, but I really liked the look when it was done. And then we got a final sand on the entire body before we hit it again with the Tamiya Fine Surface Primer. And then we'll get to the color. But next up, the interior. The interior was like 7 pieces. The dash is not shown here, but we'll get to that in a minute. Interior was pretty simple, but it was pretty well detailed. The side panels and the doors, all that stuff. I really didn't care for the seats. They had the gateway arch looking thing for the headrests, and I just wasn't a fan of that. And here you see I went to the parts box, grabbed a set of Porsche seats which had a higher headrest, and I just like that. I think it looked so much better. The interior was painted with Tamiya AS10 RAF Ocean Gray, which had a good leather finish to it. and lightly buffed that with a Q-tip, and it really did bring it out. And then I did most of the interior. I hit it with the Tamiya panel line accent color, kind of bring out some highlights. And then the console was masked off, and I airbrushed a little bit of semi-gloss black to give it a kind of that custom look. And the same thing, masked off the and it looked like I just used masking tape, but I actually masked off up close with bare metal foil, and then used the green masking tape around that. And we'll get a good look at that. And you've already seen the interior and the dash, but here's another look at it. This is that AS10 Tamiya. I think it just came out really great. And you see the ejected CD sticking out down there. I just love that. That's just cool. Isn't it amazing when you find little things like that? You just stick with them because they're just cool. The heating and air conditioning vents there and the radio grid up top all have just a very light wash of the Tamiya panel line accent color in black. But I think the whole interior turned out good. And when we get to the whole car here in a minute, we're going to take a close look at that interior. On to the chassis and other components. You saw in one of the other videos the engine. Excuse me. And pretty much the entire chassis was painted with Tamiya TS30 Silver Leaf. And then I went back and just did a light wash all over the radiator, as you see here, and that really brought that out. Then here's the drive shaft. You see the universal joints. Again, they have just a light wash of the Tamiya panel line over them. And the rear coilover shocks, same thing, just a light wash down in between the springs. And it's really hard to see here on this chassis. In fact, I think I took this picture before I actually did the wash, but we'll take a look at that here in just a minute too. But really, really, really turned out well. Then the rear end, painted some of the bushings and then did a light wash on it as well. And I'm really, really pleased with the exhaust system, and again, we'll look at that. Going back to the body, I broke out the brochure. This is why I wanted to keep, one of the two reasons I wanted to keep it kind of secret, was I wanted to replicate the brochure. So I started by using it as a guideline and went online and looked up another car, and I used my masking tape to mask off. By the way, the body, the silver that's on the body is TS76 mica silver. It's a beautiful satin color. And originally I had planned on clear coating this whole car, but let me tell you, this looks so good. I didn't do it. I left that satin, that silver satin. But here you see it's masked off. Then I airbrushed on TS22. I decanted and airbrushed on TS22 light green. And it really came out very nicely, a really nice sheen to it. And again, originally I was going to gloss this, but it just looked so good. And here's our color, just the green on it. And the other side. And here we are with our black stripe. Now, the black stripe that is below that is actually Tamiya, I think it was TS40 metallic black. And I think that came out really, really well too. By the way, I use mostly Tamiya masking tape, and spacing it and working with it is just so easy. I also use some automotive stuff for some projects, the blue plastic tape, because it's easy to do contours and all that kind of stuff with it too. And then here's our finished car sitting in front of the Radwood picture from the show. Now there is a little thing we'll look at live here in just a second that I am going to make a change on. But check out that satin and that silver. It just turned out great. And I did buff and polish out the top, which is metallic gray TS94. And this picture looks black, but it's actually a really deep metallic gray, and it really looks good, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute. The other little surprise was I wanted a figure to be standing beside it, but not just any figure. Now this figure, I picked up two of them when I saw them because they just reminded me of someone. Kind of standing around with their hands in their pockets, just leisurely checking stuff out. You know how when you're at a car show, you don't want to touch anything because most everything says do not touch the models anyway. But I got this more for just it reminded me of someone, and I thought they would be great to display with the car. So without further ado, here's how the car was displayed at ACME. Here's the picture from the flyer, and this is the way I displayed my Prowler at the show. And let's talk about who is standing around here first. I wanted to pay tribute to my good buddy Clay Kemp, so and I think it caught him off guard a little bit too, but I had fun with this. But I did want to honor my buddy, so we did a Clay Kemp figure and put him up here, and I just went on YouTube and looked up figure painting because I'm not a figure painter, and how to paint red hair, how to do this, how to do the denim, and it really was fun. I may be doing more figures, but thought it'd be fun to have him checking out the Prowler. So there we go. Well, let's start with at the top on the Prowler. The paint up top, as I said, was metallic gray Tamiya. I think it's TS94. It's kind of hard to see. It buffed out beautifully. It's kind of hard to see the reflection, I guess. But anyway, it really buffed out beautifully. And the interior with the wash highlights in a few spots really brought that out too. Those Porsche seats really look so much better than those. I don't want to call them cheap looking, but those little arch things just didn't do anything for me on the seats. And let's get around there where you can see the dash. You can see the door panels, the door cards. They really look good with that little wash in them. And here where we can see a little bit of the CD player, and you can see the steering wheel, the column, and the other door there. But really worked out really well. The green and metallic black stripe. Let's take a look under the hood. It's kind of hard to see because there's not much light under there, but it's just the kit 3.5 V6, and that mica silver satin on the sides just, I don't know, against that gloss on the top, it really, to me, just really set it off. The tires and wheels are 19 and 23 inch from Pegasus, and they are the T's. Beautiful. And remember, we had to narrow for the front fenders the tires and wheels, but I think they really look good on there. And the brakes are Pegasus as well. The disc brakes are Pegasus with, I think they're the 17 and 19, something like that, I think. So they really look good and made up to those wheels and tires beautifully. The exhaust system, let me show you that. Let me take this hood off here a minute. Let you get a better look at the engine anyway. And the firewall. And underneath, I was really pleased with the weathering. Let's get over here in the light. Excuse me, the, not weathering, but the heat stains on the exhaust pipes. All the way through the exhaust system. I think that really turned out well. And you can see a little more of that wash on the bottom of the chassis up close like that. And then the oil cooler back there, a little wash in it too. But I was really, really well pleased. And something that nobody really got to see was the top. And I did not display it with the convertible top on, and I did not put the trailer on it. The trailer is going to be painted to match this. I didn't do it yet because I thought I'd have the trailer with the back hatch open and maybe a bunch of model car boxes and stuff in it. So, not sure yet. But I think the profile with that low top on it, I think that looks pretty cool too. And you can see that panel in the back that we filled in where those gaping holes were for the back bumpers and the upswept exhaust tips. This was really a fun kit. And again, that's what it's all about. Well, guys, that's it. Thanks so much for tagging along. Let me stop this thing, put the hood back on. Thanks so much for watching. If you're not a subscriber, head over, give us a sub, and check out the Teespring store. And always at the end, I always forget something. I know I do. Check out the show videos from other folks. Oh, there is one other thing I want to show you too. Right here, where the bumpers mount on the front of the car normally, you see this little panel right here that's been added? I did not see that till we were actually in Atlanta. I was kind of dusting it off before we went to the show, and then I got looking and I went, oh great. So right here where that hole is, I will be adding a panel right there to match this. And it does look better when that's closed in, I think, a lot better. And lastly, I was blessed and honored that it took the Radwood Theme Award. How about that? So I was very honored by that. So if you hadn't checked out the videos, like I said, head over, check out. There's a lot of guys got some great video coverage of the show. So head over and check that out too. Guys, until next time, God bless you, and I will see you in that next video.